Joining me on the line right now, he is the leader of the Crusade for Change, Mr. Darius Carter. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing beautifully. Thank you for having me. I am glad to be here. Thank you. Thank you.
We're of course here to talk about the upcoming Tier 1 show, which is happening on December 4th. And it's interesting. You made a shocking debut at their last show. What is it that made you come all the way to New York to I guess I don't want to say invade Tier 1 wrestling, but obviously supplant yourself as a talent there.
Well, first and foremost, I was born in New York, so that's my area. And obviously, being the mover, the shaker that I am a businessman outside of professional wrestling. So, New York, it's my humble abode. So it really is only a matter of time that I ended up making it over there and start really getting a look in depth into what these promotions are about. I had heard about Tier One. I knew that they were coming into play, and I knew that Tier One was a place that to be at. I mean, listen to the name of it. It's Tier One wrestling. How do you have Tier One wrestling without the top tier? To me, it was just common sense. That's how I ended up speaking with, behind the scenes with the promoter. We ended up setting a live contractual agreement, which was beautiful. It was very well done. I was very happy with it, and I continue to look forward to the future with Tier One and really anywhere else.
Right now, I know that you have, I believe, an open challenge, correct, for anyone. And is there an expectation? Obviously, like you said, the talent there, Tier One. A lot of people have been talking about. They have Luke Hawx as their champion. Rude Boy Riley, he's up in there. They've had guys like Tim Donst, Grant Akuma's facing Caleb Conley. There's a lot of big names going on it now for Tier One. When you just throw out an open challenge, I mean that kind of puts you a little bit of a disadvantage because you don't know who your opponent's going to be.
That's actually an astute observation, but the whole point of the Darius Carter Brass Ring Invitational is for me to do something different, for me to shake things up. I mean, I am the unabashed, the face of change. That is my thing. I bring change everywhere I go. And honestly, me just competing with somebody in a scheduled match, I mean, that's according to plan. That's obvious. That's evident. I want to do something different. And that's what the Darius Carter Brass Ring Invitational is about. It's about giving whichever wrestler that chooses to walk out and whichever unfortunate soul chooses to walk out, because make no mistake, I am coming to deliver a message. I'm coming to make the most impactful debut in Tier 1. That's what it's all about. People are talking about me. People are talking about the Brass Ring Invitational because it's something different. It's something people haven't heard of before. You've heard of an open challenge, but you haven't heard of an invitational, a Brass Ring Invitational.
For sure. No, and I think you've made your impact there. Speaking of, people talking about you, you wrestle a lot for Warriors of Wrestling and Beyond Wrestling. As you said, you are the face of change and the leader of the Crusade for Change there. How has that been building up? You have some stuff going on beyond. You have quite a few rivalries, it seems, in Warriors of Wrestling. Is this something you're spreading the word, I guess? What is the Crusade for Change for our listeners?
Oh, beautiful. The Crusade for Change, I mean, it came about years ago when I had faced Johnny Miyagi at Beyond Wrestling. And if you haven't seen that match, make sure you see it. I mean, it's a brutal affair. I mean, viewers' discretion is advised here. But that match was really the beginning of the Crusade for Change because I felt like I should have been in a more prominent position. I felt like I shouldn't have, and this was years ago, in 2012, 2013, and it was kind of like I felt like I had, and still do, have much more to offer than this match that they were giving me. They were giving me this Johnny Miyagi match, and I felt like I deserved so much more. My talents, everything about me exuded, main event or at least upper higher card kind of potential, and I felt like I was being wasted. And that is where the Crusade for Change came from. The Crusade for Change is about looking to the past to help build your future. It's about never forgetting the things that you've done and how that needs to pay off in the future. It does kind of share a little bit of similarity to, kind of a V for Vendetta, a bit of a gunpowder plot kind of association, but really, that's where it all comes from. It all comes from the need to be recognized and the need to be remembered for the contributions that you've given to this promotion. I've given 5 years to Beyond Wrestling, over 5 years, and I feel like I certainly haven't received from what I've put in. And that's not to say I haven't received some things. Of course, Beyond helped me get my name out there per se, but I mean, have I really been capitalized upon in terms of my potential, in terms of my ability? Absolutely not. And that's really where the Crusade comes from. That's what it's about. It's about talent getting the proper time to shine when you have the history behind you indicating that you should be given the push forward. You should be given the ball to run with. If you won't give it to us, we're going to take it. Just like the Guy Fawkes and the gunpowder plot, you're not going to give the recognition, you're not going to acknowledge this. I'm going to make sure you acknowledge it. The big difference is really Guy Fawkes ended up hung. And that's not at all what the Crusade's about. So please don't let the mask confuse you. It's not a direct correlation. It's not us emulating Guy Fawkes. It's about the message, not about the man. That's what the Crusade is about.
Well, speaking of, we have the upcoming tournament for tomorrow, for Beyond Wrestling, and the match that you're in, I'm hoping anyone that is going to attempt to challenge you at Tier 1 is going to watch this match. It's Brian Fury, yourself, Hot Sauce, Tracy Williams, and Jay Freddy. I mean, Brian Fury and Jay Freddy, they've had some great matches in Beyond before. Tracy Williams is making his name known through Evolve and WWN Live. And you're thrown in there into the singles blockade. I mean, this is going to be a rough match. How do you prepare for three opponents like that?
And that's the funny thing is, and you do say, me being kind of thrown in, but I am just as viable as all of those competitors in there. I am just as capable, if not more so in many ways. And I definitely do believe that there is kind of a spotlight on me in terms of it's time for me to show. In a way, people are going to say it's time for your Darius Carter show what you're worth, but I've done that before, and I've really proven my worth. I've faced Matt Tremont, one of the world's most renowned hardcore brawlers, really in the game today. Everybody knows who Matt Tremont is. I stepped in there with him one-on-one and tested his mettle. I pushed him to the limit. People need to remember those type of things at Beyond Wrestling King of Arts. I've been in the ring with Drew Gulak twice, and I beat him in our first ever encounter. So people need to remember these things. It's funny enough, the name of the event that I beat him at was Crises Precipitates Change, and here we are now, the Crusade for Change. So it's very interesting how these kind of how these tie into one another. But I've faced off with some great talents. I faced off with Jonathan Gresham in a fantastic match that I think kind of gets lost in the annals of history. Just because it was an all-killer episode, it wasn't released as an individual match. So sometimes I think that gets overlooked. But I faced Brian Fury wrestling his art, and I've been in the ring with his style, his type of mentality. People need to realize the way the wrestlers I came in with were the William Regals, the Fit Finleys. That's my type of style. That's my game plan. And make no mistake about it. I'm coming into this four-way with an advantage because guess what? People are underestimating me. Typically, people are underestimating me. People don't particularly know how I'm going to fare, which makes me laugh. Again, I faced Brian Fury. Brian Fury and Jay Freddy have their little thing going on. Why wouldn't I take advantage of that? Hot Sauce Tracy Williams, good, very, of course, great technical wrestler, but is he as intelligent? Is he as alert as I am? That remains to be seen. These are things that I look forward to testing next week.
No, I'm looking forward to it too. I mean, and you look at some of the names you've been facing recently, like a Joey Ace or Timothy Thatcher. Some of these guys, their names are out there, and particularly when it comes to Tier 1. I believe
Carlito.
Oh, Carlito, yes, that happened. I believe actually last
happened
week.
This past Saturday.
Yeah. So speaking on that,
I know
that
won.
there's guys like, yes, you did, and there's guys like Jay George and Joey Ace who are known to the Tier 1 wrestling fans, and then like I mentioned before, you have Caleb Conley facing off against Grant Akuma for the FIP title. You have the Tier 1 championship. I'm assuming because you came into Tier 1, like you said, wanting to be a part of, how could they be Tier 1 wrestling if they don't have the top talents there? Are you watching these title matches and kind of eyeing who your future opponents could be in Tier 1?
Championship go on when push comes to shove. So that's why I'm having this invitational. This invitational is not just It's not just about my opponent. It's not about people are getting lost in it. Who's my opponent? It doesn't matter who my opponent is. That is irrelevant. The Darius Carter Brass Ring Invitational is about Darius Carter and showing to the world that it doesn't matter who walks through those curtains because I adapt, I overcome, I evolve. That's what the Crusade for Change is about, adapting to the times. I have stood the test of time. I have been given very little from beyond. I've had weights on my shoulders, cinder blocks tied to my ankles for several years, and I've still managed to come up and gasp for air. I've still been able to keep myself alive and to really thrive in many situations. So until you've walked a day in my shoes, let's not pretend like you're Darius Carter. I know what I'm doing. This is all about me showcasing my talent at the expense of whoever dares to show up. So absolutely, I have my eyes on the FIP championship match. Absolutely, I have my eyes on the Tier 1 championship. That's what it's all about. But the Invitational is to help, it's to win across all fronts. A, get people to know exactly what Darius Carter is about. B, remind people that who walks through the curtain is irrelevant in comparison to the man that is letting you walk through that curtain to face him. And C, the fact that I am the beacon of change. I'm here to bring change. I'm not here to just talk it. I'm here to walk it, and I'll walk all over whoever looks me in the eye and tries to challenge me. That's what it's all about. Confidence, devotion, dedication. That is what I am. And people are going to see that when they show up December the 4th for that Brass Ring Invitational.
Well, Darius, we appreciate the time, and as always, we like to give our guests a moment to give out some social media. So tell people where they can follow you. Follow the Crusade for Change on Twitter, Facebook, or wherever.
Absolutely. You're going to find me on Twitter and Facebook. They're all /Mr. Darius Carter. I keep it very simple. You can find me. All of my dates are there. I'm getting into the habit now. I'll start pinning them at the top of my Twitter page. Please do follow. I mean, follow your future. You're going to want to know because guess what? You're not going to want to be one of those people that jumps on the bandwagon. You want to be one of those people that says you were there from the beginning. You want to be one of those people that says I was supporting this movement from the start. And that's really what it's all about. The Crusade for Change is only going to grow. We're getting more and more members with each passing moment, and you don't even know about it. You don't know until I tell you. So make sure you look up Darius Carter, Facebook, Twitter, all my dates, everything is there. And again, just to kind of get it out there very quickly, the 4th of December, I have Tier 1. The 18th of December, I should go in order. So on the 4th, I have Tier 1. On the 12th, I have a Warriors of Wrestling No Limits Championship match against Jesse Brooks. I lost that championship on the 15th of September. I'm going to win it back and close out 2015 as the Warriors of Wrestling No Limits champion. Then on the 18th, I do have 5 Borough Wrestlings, the Crusade for Change Challenge Series. My opponent has yet to be named. And then, of course, Beyond Wrestling, which is going to be towards the end of the month. I believe the date is the 27th. And I will be winner of Tournament for Tomorrow 4 by that point. So whatever they put me in there with, it's going to get destroyed. And my year is going to end beautifully, and my 2016 is going to begin beautifully. It's as simple as that.
Sounds great, man. We appreciate the time. Couldn't have said it any better. Of course, as you mentioned, Beyond Wrestling Tournament for Tomorrow is November 28th and 29th at FET Music in Providence, Rhode Island. Go to lookmawnofans.com. And, of course, Tier 1 Wrestling, Rise or Die Trying, December 4th in New York. Check them out at tier1wrestling.org. Look them up also on Facebook. Darius, appreciate the time, man.
Thank you so much for having me. It was an absolute pleasure. And the next stop, right after Beyond Wrestling Tournament for Tomorrow 4, is Tier 1. I look forward to changing the game. Simple as that. Change your future.